How's it going, YouTube? Brad Browning here, and today I'm going to be talking about 6 scientific factors that lead to divorce. Now, if you'd like to learn more about how to use this information to help save your marriage today, feel free to click subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just click on the little button below, and make sure you also click the bell icon right beside it so you get notified every single time I release a new video. All right, let's jump right into the goods. Reason number 1, you and your partner withdraw from conflicts. So when you try and talk to your partner about a tough issue or problem in your relationship, does he or she engage with you, or do they pull away? Now, studies have shown that if they pull away, it's definitely not a great sign. In fact, a 2013 study from the Journal of Marriage and Family found that this sort of cold behavior in response to conflict is a strong predictor of divorce. And another 2014 study came to a similar conclusion. Their study showed that couples that didn't try to actively resolve the issues in their marriage were much less happy, obviously, in their relationship. Now, the Gottman Institute has also conducted studies regarding this exact problem of conflict avoidance as well. And in a study involving hundreds of couples, researchers monitored a partner's ability to engage in difficult conversations with their spouse. Now, those that were able to communicate effectively during difficult situations, to no one's surprise, had a better chance of staying married versus couples that weren't able to talk things through. So the next time you try to bring up a problem in your marriage, see how your partner reacts. Does he or she ask you questions? Do they show concern? Or do they ignore you and give you the silent treatment? Well, if he or she doesn't give you the time of day, then it may be a very strong indicator that something might be causing trouble in your marriage and that you should address it as soon as possible. Reason number 2, being overly passionate as a newly married couple. Now, this is a little bit of a weird one, and a little bit counterintuitive as well. I mean, you'd assume that couples that show a ton of affection for one another, especially as newlyweds, are more likely to build a stronger and longer lasting marriage, right? However, this really doesn't seem to be the case. A 2001 study from the Interpersonal Relations and Group Process, quite a mouthful, found that, and I quote, as newlyweds, the couples who divorced after 7 or more years were almost always giddily affectionate, displaying about 1/3 more affection than did spouses who were later happily married. So interestingly enough, the passionate, overly romantic love stories that you read about in books and Hollywood movies actually have a lower chance of making it in the long run. Who would have thought? Now, the main takeaway from this is that changes in expectations are likely in a marriage. And once the passion and excitement wane, you're left with another kind of relationship that can be equally as fulfilling. Adjusting to this new mode, though, can be a real marriage killer, especially when you first realize that this kind of change is happening. But keep in mind that a strong marriage isn't about passion, it's about building a lifelong bond. Reason number 3, you describe your relationship negatively. So a separate Gottman Institute study conducted a series of interviews with several hundred couples, asking them various questions about their marriage and their spouse. It was called an oral history interview. Now, by analyzing the language used in these interviews, the study revealed a strong correlation between divorce rate and contemptuous language. On top of that, couples that described most aspects of their relationship with endearment tended to stay together longer. Now, this might not seem like a very groundbreaking study, but it's important to take away one big thing from this, and it's that obviously, no marriage and relationship is perfect, but failing couples tend to zero in on the problems and fail to recognize the positive aspects of their partners. So the next time somebody asks you about how you feel about your marriage, do your best and try to talk about the good things that your spouse brings to the table. In fact, do your favor and write down all the things that you love about your spouse and the reason why you married them. And make sure that you cherish and you memorize that list. Reason number 4, being or having a husband or that doesn't work full time. Now, this is a bit of a touchy one, especially in this day and age where women have more opportunities now than in the past. But a 2016 Harvard study shows that the male breadwinner stereotype is still prevalent. Now, this Harvard study suggested that it was not a couple's finances that determined whether a couple would stay together or not, but the division of labor. So this study looked at thousands of heterosexual marriages after 1975 and found that husbands who didn't have a full-time job had a 3.3% chance of divorcing the following year, as opposed to 2.5% among the full-time working husbands. The wife's job status had almost no effect on the rate of divorce. Now, obviously, times are changing and we're seeing more and more stay-at-home dads in happy marriages, but this is something worth noting. Now, I know that a lot of these reasons may not be applicable to you, so if you want to learn more about your own marriage and its health, take my free quiz. Now, the quiz will determine your approximate chances of saving your marriage and staying together. And to take the quiz, it's free. All you have to do is go to marriageguy.com/quiz. Again, marriageguy.com/quiz, and I'll put a link there in the description as well. It's 100% confidential, and like I said, it is completely free to take. Now let's move on to reason number 5, not completing your high school education. Now, this factor probably isn't going to be very applicable to many of you, so I'll keep this one brief. But basically, the Bureau of Labor Statistics in the US revealed that, and I quote, "The chance of a marriage ending in divorce was lower for people with more education, with over half of marriages of those who did not complete high school having ended in divorce, compared with approximately 30% of marriages of college graduates." Now, other studies have pointed out that the reason for this may simply be because people who don't complete high school have much lower incomes, and that kind of financial problem can put an obvious strain on some marriages. And finally, reason number 6, getting married too young or too old. Now, this one probably isn't going to be surprising to a lot of you out there, but couples who get married in their teens are at a much greater risk of divorce. And surprisingly, this is actually also true for people who marry in their mid to late 30s and beyond. So according to a professor at the University of Utah, after the age of 32, your odds of divorce increase by 5% each year. Now, before you guys panic, we need to point out that this doesn't mean that you have to rush into a marriage. You really need to make sure that you find the right person for you. However, age can be an extremely strong predictor of marital success. Now, it's also important to know that the greater the age difference between the two spouses, the greater the risk of divorce as well. So in conclusion, there's a number of reasons why marriages end in divorce. Many of these variables are controllable. So if you'd like to learn more about how you can prevent divorce and save your marriage today, then you definitely want to watch the free presentation on my website at marriageguy.com. Just head to marriageguy.com and watch the entire video to the end, because in it you're going to learn 3 of the most common marriage murdering mistakes that tons of couples make that ruin their chances of a happy marriage. So give that a watch, and thanks for watching this one all the way to the end. I will see you guys again in the next video.